Hello everyone. In this video, we will talk about vectors in C++. So let's first start with making a vector. You of course need a program, but you will also need to import the vector library because vectors do not come in by default in a C++ program. So once you import the library by using the include open bracket vector close bracket command, what do? Well, unlike an array, a vector has its own data type. But if you want to specify what you want to store in the vector, you'll have to use a slightly different syntax. So first start with entering the vector key and then an angled bracket. And inside the angled brackets, you have to keep what data type you want to keep. For example, if you want to keep integers, then you have to enter int. After that, you'll have to specify a variable name and then set that equal to the data. Now, unlike an array, a vector uses curly braces, not square braces. So once you make the curly braces, then you can add your data. Like an array and basically any other type of list, you just store it using commas. And then at the end, add a semicolon. Once that's done, how do we access the items in a vector? Well, it is basically the same as accessing items in an array. You specify the variable name and then specify square brackets, and inside that the index number. Like an array, a vector starts with the index of 0. So let's access the element number 3 at index 2. Let's see the result. See that? Entering index 2 will give the element number 3 in the list. Now, like an array, if you want to view a vector, an entire vector, you can't just directly print it. It will just return the raw object in memory. Instead, you'll have to use a for loop. That will be covered in a later video. Anyway, if you want to add items in a list or a vector, you have to use a function. But there are many functions. Two of the most common are the erase and insert functions. So how do you use that? Let's first start with the insert. So to use the insert function, we have to first specify the variable name, of course, dot insert. And then for this function, you have to specify two things, the index and the item you want to place. So for the index, you can't actually just specify a number. The insert function requires a little extra. So for an index, you need to first enter the variable name dot begin plus the index. So let's say I want to insert at index 1. In this case, the function will read the test.begin plus 1 statement as index 1. And then for the second parameter, you need to specify what you want to put. How about 0? And then you finish the statement outside with a bracket. So let's see the result. You see that? After I inserted the function, I added a print statement that accesses the first element. And there you go. The first element is 0. Now, let's say you want to simply insert a new element at the end of the vector. That is simple. There is a special function called the pushback function. To use that, you start with the variable name dot pushback, and note that there's an underscore between push and back. Inside the brackets, you have to specify what you want to keep. How about the number 6? And then add a semicolon. Now let's see the output. Since I added an extra element now and as well as before, I should be accessing the 6th element. You see that? At the 6th index, I have element number 6. Now let's say I want to remove an element. There is a function called erase. So let's use that. So test dot erase, and just like the insert function, you have to specify the index by using the begin function. So test dot begin plus, and then what index you want to put. I'll remove the element that I kept before in the beginning, the 0. That is at position 1. You see that? Using the erase function, I removed the element which was at index 1, which before was at 0, and now when I access that element at index 1, I'm getting a different element. That's because initially at index 1 I had number 2. Like the pushback, there is also a special function for removing an element at the end, but it is just recommended to use the erase function. So if you, let's say you want to print the entire vector instead of just printing each element, you can't just specify the variable as is in a cout print. It will actually give you an error. Here it says invalid operands to binary expression. That means the cout cannot process a vector. So to print a vector, you actually have to use a for loop, but for loops will be covered in a later video. So this is how you use vectors and add and remove elements in them. So thank you for watching this video, and I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you.